Hello everyone, welcome to the new video, and this time we have a look at the new Renault Scénic, and this is the all-electric Renault Scénic, as it's the new generation of the car, and it turned from the MPV into a SUV. So yeah, but let's have a closer look, because what I like about this Renault Scénic is that it looks very different from other Renault cars, particularly because of a very different main headlight design, very different shape from other Renaults. Also, you have this honeycomb design on the front of the car, and yeah, and then these daytime running lights, they are the same as other Renaults. But yeah, of course, electric car has to be aerodynamic. This car doesn't have that big of an air curtain as other Renaults, as you can see, and considering it's an SUV, it has a drag coefficient of 0.297. You also have these aerodynamic door handles that gets hidden into the body as well. And then let's have a look at the wheels. So we are running, what are these? I think there are 20-inch wheels. Is that right? Yes, with a tire size of 235 45 R20. And look at the fantastic design of the wheel. Also very aerodynamic, which I like. Really good. In terms of suspension, we have quite a decent amount of positive caster geometry, as you can see, around 10 degrees of it. Yeah, let's have a look at the conception. So let's open the door and let's have a look at the conception. So this is where the driver sits, so somewhere in the middle of the wheelbase, which is okay, and what I'm used to with Renault cars. Now we're on the way to the rear. Let's have a look into the rear and let's sit in the rear and let me show you. So you have really big amount of space here in the rear. Not that big amount of space for your feet, because you can't put them underneath when you have the seat in the lowest position, as I do. Then you have the air ventilation for air conditioning, two USB-C connectors. This car is equipped with this bag, which is maybe good for the family, some accessories, where to put the pampers and stuff. And you also get this massive armrest with two cup holders, and you can open it. You have storage area here, USB-C connectors here for charging, and when you slide this, you have these two cup holders and the holder for the iPhone or iPad or any other mobile accessory, which is rather cool. And then also here in the roof, you have this nice lighting from the roof, and of course the fantastic solar bay sunroof, which is absolutely amazing technological thing in the Renault. And you get these door beams with nice carpeting inside, nice ambient lighting here, and you have some leather here on the door handle. Really nice. And then if we go and have a look at the car from the rear, we have fantastic design again. I also do like this chrome element here on the C pillar. And yeah, look at these lights that are shaping in the Y letter, and you get the big Scénic logo and the E-TECH. Let's open the boot. You open it from down here. Of course, it has to be electrically controlled, and it's actually quite a big boot. It's really deep. Have a look at it. It is really deep. What I'm having here is the cable for charging, and if I open this another space, which is actually again rather deep, there is another cable for charging from the domestic socket. So yeah, really rather practical. You have the subwoofer, I think, in here, and you get light, 12-volt socket, some hooks. So I really think it's a really nice, big and practical boot, which I like about the car. So yeah, and one other thing I have to show you is that you are charging the car front right side if we open it, which is a good location for charging, as I found out. And every time you charge your charge, you just press this button to unlock it, and then you can pull the cable out, and you can have AC, DC. I managed maximum 131 kilowatts of charging power. Yeah, so I think that would be about it to the Renault Scénic. And now let's hop in the car and let's talk about the experience with the car every day in the winter conditions that I have in the country at the moment. Well, hello, welcome inside the Renault Scénic E-TECH, and you join me just after the very short charging stop on the way because I really had to do it, because I wouldn't make it on the way home. And I'm on the motorway, and the motorway speed in the winter with winter tires and the temperature of 3 degrees Celsius is 23.6 kilometers per 100 kilometers. But we have to really talk about this car, as this is such an interesting car. But let's do the first thing you have to do all the time. You sit inside the car, so you press this button called safety, my safety, twice, and you turn off the assistance that you want to have turned off. And yeah, that's about it. We can carry on driving with this car. And so really, this is the successor of the family Scénic, and it's still a family car, but now it's an SUV that weighs. It's the heaviest car in the Renault range at the moment, with 1990 something kilos. So yeah, really rather heavy, and you can feel this in the car when you're handling the car in the corners and stuff. It really is weighty, and also. But there is a good thing to it, you know, because Renault says that their top of the range car is the Renault Rafale, the SUV coupe. But really, that car, I have to say, I've driven it, that feels sporty. It has a stiff chassis, it feels light in your hands. This car, on the other hand, this feels like a top of the range. This feels like a if you let me, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan of the Renault range, because it's an SUV. It looks really rather elegant and very interesting, very different from the normal Renault cars. And the way it carries itself over the road, it's just very luxurious because of the weight, and because of the certain softness and flair that this car has. So it's a really lovable car to drive. I also love the fact that it lands on the rear when you're going over the bumpy road or over the undulations. It lands on the rear and sort of has this little tiny bounce on the rear as well. So yeah, it is really nice, and it's also incredibly well equipped. So you have Harman Kardon stereo, that is fantastic. The interior is all nice. You have leather here on the dashboard. You have this solar bay panoramic sunroof that you get in the Rafale and you get in this model, which is fantastic as well. And it's just a beautiful place to be. The sitting position for me as a driver is really nice, reasonably low for an SUV. The seats are absolutely fantastic. They are a combination of leather on the sides and this fabric. They are just great. You have also the massage for the driver. They are heated, and then the rest of the interior, you have leather here on the door cards, then white leather here on the door handle. You have carpeting here in the door bins. I mean, really, it's just such a lovable interior. It feels really premium, and for me, this car is the top of the ranger of the Renault segment, of the Renault range that they have. Fantastic. And then you have this typical L-shaped screens with great design and great quality of them. So yeah, the experience is fantastic. Now to the testing. So I've done the noise test, which was at 58 decibels at 130 kilometers, which is fantastic, which I really do love. And it's a car that you can be really happy driving also on the motorways. But maybe let's come to the consumptions, because now, of course, in the winter, an EV has a bigger consumption, which is down to the colder temperature, which is down to the more wind that has been in these later days, and also the winter tires. And so the first consumption, when I was going to the mountainous region and I had a 27-kilometer headwind going against me, was somewhere around 24.8 kilowatt hours, so much worse than it is now at the moment. Now I've gone through the mountain pass and now on the motorway going reasonably down the hill, 23.8. So yeah, of course it is much worse than maybe it is in the summer, of course. But I think for a 2-ton car with a drag coefficient of 0.297, it's actually quite okay. And then when you drive this car in the city and near the city, you get the consumption of 21.5, which is very decent. But this gives you a range when you charge the car of around 400 kilometers when you have 100% of the battery. And then the real range that I achieved is somewhere around, I think it's 330 kilometers real average range, because I did 230 kilometers. I still had like 25% of the energy left in the battery. Yeah, so you can do like 350 kilometers in reality in the winter with this car, which is actually very decent. And then on the motorway you have this consumption of 23.8 at 130, and that's the thing I like, you know. I don't like to be slowed down by the EVs by driving them at 110 because of the lowest aerodynamic resistance at this speed. No, I'm gonna use them just like I use any ICE car, and that's why I always drive them at 130 kilometers and more. So yeah, well, and then there are just all the likes of the EVs, you know. Very nice and comfy drive, no noise from the engine, nothing like that. So that is a lovely thing about the EV. Yeah, so yeah, I think let's go through some likes and dislikes of the car. So let's go through the dislikes first. I think the first dislike I noticed now at the charging, it really only goes full speed of the charging for a really short time, at really early, at around 30%. I achieved 131 kilowatts of charging speed, but then it goes very fast and progressively down, and at 40 something percent that I was charging, I only had around 100 kilowatts of charging power. So the charging prioritizes the safety of the battery and the health of the battery from the long run. That would be, but it depends on what the engineers wanted to achieve. Some engineers want to achieve the best possible charging speeds. Some are choosing the battery life from the long term. So yeah, and then another small dislike that I had is that I wanted to charge the phone with a USB-C cable, but the only option here at the front part of the interior is to use the wireless charging, which is not great for anybody, you know, because the charging pad, you know, it's not that fast and it makes the phone really hot. So I had to plug it here in the rear and use the USB-C from the rear. So that's a small thing that I had a problem with. Yeah, but other than that, well, I think it's mostly the likes, because I really like this car. Has a certain charisma to it. It looks really rather different from the other Renault cars. It has a sort of a different main headlights, which I like about it. And then I like the character and the flair and the elegance that this car carries when it drives. I really do like this car. I really do like its character. I really do like, for me, this car feels like the top of the range of the Renault electric car, and I have to say I really do like it. I'm a guy that like elegant cars as well, as much as sporty cars, and this car carries that, and I really do like that about it. And then, even despite we are running at 20-inch wheels, the car is reasonably comfy. Of course, smaller wheels would give us even better range, but they are aerodynamic wheels. They have very specific design. And then also from the chassis perspective, I have to say, this car is done very well, because we have quite a good amount of positive caster on the front. We also have a negative caster at the rear, so it would be nicely balanced, because the conception is such that I'm sitting somewhere in the middle of the wheelbase in the car. Then we also have the low center of gravity thanks to the battery, and in terms of the wheel geometry, we are running more negative camber at the rear with the toe out for the improved stability. And then, well, there is the pricing. I mean, of course, it is not exactly as cheap as its predecessors, but that's what these cars cost. And I mean, for a car with 87 kilowatt-hour battery net capacity, 87 kilowatt-hour battery, and this amount of range of around 530 kilometers easily, or 400 kilometers easily in the summer, I think it's actually quite good and competitively priced. So yeah, I mean, definitely, if you're looking for a car of this size, a family SUV, and you're maybe considering Skoda Enyaq, you should definitely try a car of this sort, because it's a really dignified car. It has great range, it has good aerodynamics, and it's really spacious with big boot, great amount of space in the rear, great practicality in the rear. So yeah, I mean, for the new Scenic, really a car that I like, and yeah, I really love it from the Renault range. Really good car that you can rely on. So that would be about it to this car. Well, if you found the video useful, well, keep watching, keep subscribing, because more videos are coming on very soon, and I hope to see you in the very next video. In the meantime, take care of you and goodbye.